Hey y'all, this is Church from Church's Intake. So let's get into another message. You know, I was just thinking about self-doubt and what self-doubt can cause to you in your life, what it can cause to you on your pursuit of trying to better yourself, in the workplace. This is anywhere in the workplace. If you're trying to purchase something, that you didn't get the full clearance of yet, like if you were searching for a job in that aspect, you was waiting for like their final say and things like that, or if you had a confrontation and you were kind of like in the unknown, didn't know what was going to happen in the situation. There's so many different aspects where self-doubt or doubt in general can mess up the way things transpire in your life. So I'm gonna go off of an experience that happened to me. Probably, well, it's definitely been like at least 10 years back, and I knew soon as I had this thought in my mind that I had messed up. It's like, oh snap, you messed up, right? But another thing is a lot of people don't understand that doubt and self-doubt. That's why you should always be, you know, eager and observant and always have the perception of, things is always going to turn out right in your favor, or, it's going to be good at the end of whatever transpires, because this is it can be a spiritual chain that is on you that can withhold you from getting to the next level. It can hold you from, keeping your job, grabbing a new job. Like, it's a spiritual aspect. That's why God wants you to be, have faith in believing on the things that shall come to pass that you haven't seen yet. Because if you have this doubt inside your mindset, because a lot of people don't understand, all of this stuff is mind driven. It's a mindset. And if you have these things in your mindset, it can stop, delay, or, dismiss everything that you got in fruition to transpire in your life. So basically, I just want people to understand that don't doubt. Don't let this stuff sink into your head. The devil always going to use his cleverness to try to get you to, believe in something that's not in existence, so you can put it in existence in a bad way, in the atmosphere, in the bad aspect, in a bad way. So I was talking with my wife a few days back, probably maybe like a week or so, and I wanted to kind of like, put it out in the air, on air. You know how we know what on air is, out in the devil's atmosphere, or out in his land, to let people be more aware of how self-doubt actually works and what it could do. And we were just talking, and I was telling her like, yo, there was one time, like, this is crazy, but it was just like one time I had this doubt. Now, mind you, I'm pretty good, what I mean, in my job and, my work atmosphere or whatever, with the things that I do. And I'm like, I'm not going to brag about it or whatever, but I'm top, topper echelon of the things, as the field that I work in the electrical field, as a mechanic, electrician, building and all of these different things. So I had a managerial position at this one company. Now, mind you, this company wanted to bring me on as a salary employee. Now, I wasn't beat for the salary because, I'm like, nah. And this was when I was working, the typical 9 to 5 like everyone else. But, this company, I had moved in my new house or whatever. So I had moved into another area. It wasn't the same, I had to switch. I was trying to switch my jobs because it it was so long of a distance from where I used to work at, and moving in my new house, it was just inconvenient, the hike that I had to take. So I was like looking for another job. So I ended up getting this job, and then the people, they really liked me, they loved my resume and all of this, that, and the third, right? So I grabbed the job or whatever. I never, and this is what you should know, and what you should always do. When you go in for a job, you should always believe like you the best. I mean, it's not cockiness or nothing like that, but you have to have that confidence. Like, yo, I'm the best candidate for this job in general. And I've never not really had grabbed the job that I wanted, on that aspect. I never not really not grabbed the job. Like, I always, if I apply for the job, I usually grab the job. I usually get the job off top. That was never a problem for me to get a 9-to-5 job. And I always had that confidence, like, yo, when I come in, I'm the best candidate you got. Not saying that these other candidates aren't good, but I'm the best. I had that in my mindset, and you should kind of, if you're going for jobs and going through interviews, you shouldn't have doubt. Like, you need to be like, I'm the best, and perceive that, like, I'm going to get this job. Once you guys got a position open, you need another person. I am that candidate. I'm that person. I'm the number one guy or girl that's going to get this. And it's not cockiness, it's not being conceited, it's just being, forthright, forthcoming, and believing. I mean, God wants you to believe and not have self-doubt. So these are the things, it's just like how they say, speaking things into existence, and stuff like that. Like, you're believing this into existence, just the same type of thing, you know what I mean? And affirmations and stuff, how people be talking about that affirmation stuff, but you got to have that confidence. You don't even need aspiration, aspiration, or whatever the case may be. You don't need none of that. You just need to have your mind right, mindset right, like, yo, I got this job. All right, so I got the job, and then this company that I got this job from, the area that the job was located in was kind of like more impoverished area. And I'm coming from an area, where the rates are kind of higher, for one. The rates are a little lower down in the South, So I'm used to grabbing like a decent high rate because of the area I'm from, where I'm used to living at, and the rates is higher up there. So when I got this rate or whatever, like when we first talked about, the money aspect and all of that, like I was like, all right, I could take it at this, that, and the third. So it was an hourly rate that they was paying me, and I was content with it. It wasn't like I thought it was the best rate, because it wasn't. It was lesser than what I was used to, but it wasn't that much less. And it was like, with the traveling and all of that, it kind of, it equals out in a way, right? So I took the job or whatever, and, the boss man, he gave me a managerial position. And this company was from down south, not even from my state. They were from down south, a little bit lower than where we from. So they're used to, like, this rate that they're paying me is kind of high. They thinking that this is a high rate. So their whole thing was, once they got me into the door, they showed me, like, oh, you the boss of maintenance or whatever like that. Like, you're the head of maintenance, and you're going to be running this crew, and you're going to, hire other people in your department, thinking like, that I'm into, this job because I want authority, and I really care about a managerial experience. Like, I just want to be the boss man, and I don't want my money. Like, I could care less. You could be the boss, but I already know, like, a lot of the boss mans don't make more money than what I usually make. You know what I mean? A lot of boss mans make salary, and I make hourly, and then they know that they needed me because, machines break down, things like that. You know what I mean? So stuff break down, so you got to give me my overtime. So my overtime is actually where if you work a 9-to-5 job, overtime puts you over the edge. You know what I mean? So you'll be making, what the executives kind of make in a way, depending on your rate or whatever. but you'll definitely be making more than the person that's usually getting a salary, for sure, 100%. So their whole thing was, woo me, well, I say woo meaning like, make me feel comfortable, you know what I mean, on the authority and the things that I will receive as being a management or managerial position. And I'm like, you can keep all that. Like, I don't care nothing about none of that. Like, I'm not into that. So it's about my money. As long as my money is right, whatever type of, managerial experiences you need me to do or, tend to or whatever, what comes with my job, I'll do that. But as long as the money's right, if the money ain't right, money looking funny, I don't care how many people I'm ahead of, or I have control over. It's not conducive. It's not, it's not marketable for a person of my caliber because I already know what my worth is. So it's like, yeah, no. So he was like, oh, D, we paying you hourly, da 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 da. So after like a couple months, like a month or two, they were paying me hourly. They didn't really want to, but because of the negotiation that I did, and I told them I'm not working for a salary, because they tried to mention that at the beginning. Like, would you mind coming in as a salary worker? And I was like, nah, I don't work like that. And I was like, if you call me after hours, and I put this all in my stipulations, if you call me after hours, I'm charging you 4 hours for, the traveling or whatever for the fix that I have to do. And that's going to be ticketed. So even if I'm there for like 20 minutes, an hour, up to 4 hours, but if I'm there for 20 minutes or an hour or less than 4 hours, I'm still getting 4 hours at least. And every hour that's after that, obviously that's getting charged as well. So if I'm there for 5 hours or 8 hours, then that's all in the same thing. But if I'm there for less than 4 hours, I'm still going to get paid for them 4 hours. So they knew that. They truly knew, and they knew I know my stuff. So it was like, yo, when I come in there, your stuff's going to be fixed. So they already know that, like the machine, robots, whatever, it's going to be fixed, dog. Like, don't worry about that end. Like, I can walk whoever, whatever, however we want to do this, but your stuff, your machine and all of this stuff is going to be fixed. Like, like I said, I'm at the top notch of this field, the industrial, electrical, mechanical, all of that stupid stuff. I'm up there. It's nothing that I really haven't seen like that because I've been in there for a minute. So they know, like, so they call me up like once or twice, and I'm charging them the 4 hours. Oh, you was only here for like a half an hour, 20 minutes. Doesn't matter. I put it in my contract. Like, listen, if you call me, because it's about my knowledge, it's not about how long it's going to take me and my skill set. My skill set is because I've been in this field. I've been doing what I've been doing for years. So you're paying for my knowledge. You're not paying for my time for being there. Unless it takes me more time to fix your stuff, then this is what it is. And this is, it's like a service call, but I was working 9 to 5. So that was like the only way to, make up for leaving my house on a Saturday or on a day that I'm not supposed to be there, and them trying to just be like, oh yeah, you wasted all this gas money basically, and you was only there for 20 minutes, to just be like, oh yeah, just clock in and clock out and then that'd be it. It's like, nah, this is not how I'm working. I don't work like that, and I never did really work like that, And when you are kind of like at the top of the chain in your actual field, you can pull a little bit of strings. Like, nah, we ain't doing none of that. We don't work like that. We work like this, and it's a normal way. Like, most people know, like, you can give that 4 hour charge. Like, everybody in the industry knows this, but like I said, this company wasn't from the area that I'm from, so they're not usually used to this. Like, they be underpaying people like that. So that's here nor there. But so, it started being like a little bit of a hindrance to them, because they were like, oh, this kid knows his stuff, and it don't take him long to fix whatever problems we have. So it's like if they call me up, and this is what I would tell them: if you call me up and ask me, what I think over the phone, if I'm obviously not there at the machines or something like that, seeing what the problem really is, where it's relying on, it could be anything. It could be a conveyor belt, whatever, any of these things, right? It could be a contact relay, whatever, right? So it doesn't matter to me. I've been here. I know this stuff. PLCs, all of this stuff. I know all of these things, right? So it could be like, if they explained it to me over the phone, I can kind of get a gist of what problem might have occurred depending on what it is. Now, some of those things, if they called me up, I wouldn't just know offhand. They would not necessarily need me to come to the site. But I'm like, oh, if you call me up and then I can walk you through the process of something, a troubleshooting process, then I could do that over the phone. Now, I won't charge you for that because I was trying to be, they all in their pockets, but corporations always be like this, dog. Like the corporation, yo, they all like this, dog. They all like, yo, I'm spending mad loot on you, right? So it's like, yeah, they always trying to be like nitpick, like they bad paymasters. A lot of them, yo, they bad paymasters, dog. So you gotta set your stuff in stone because they'll try to walk all over right to the edge, So they knew it, and I was like, yo, trying to be, trying to be forthright with them, like, yo, listen, you do me a solid, I do you a solid. Like, obviously, if I come in, I'm charging you. If I don't come in, I won't charge you. So I'll walk you through over the phone, and then you guys can go from there. So, I had like 2 guys that I had kind of hired in that they wanted me to hire up. But I knew like one of the guys that they wanted me to train or whatever, I knew that this guy, and he was an older guy, older than me. And most of the people that I work with in my field are older guys because it's not too many young dudes that knows like controls and all of these different things to the level of, being like, the top guy. It's got more or less, it's a seasoned dude that's been doing this for years. I've been doing it for years now too, but usually like I work with guys that's between the ages of like 35. Let's say that's like a younger person, right? Which is like 35 to like 60. More or less, most of the people are in their 40s and 50s, let alone in their 60s. But this guy was like 75 or something like that. He was on his back 9. Like he used to be, I think he used to work on forklift machines or something like that. But like I said, most of the people in my field, to be top flight, like top notch in the field, they're like 50 plus. And I was top notch around my late 30s, you know what I mean? Like, I've been here, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up in this whole field. Like, I've been in the industrial field for years. Like, I grew up in it. Like, thank God that he showed me a whole different avenue, a whole different monster. And this is like the top of the food chain. When you talk to people, like, yo, if you say you're an industrial electrician, you're an industrial controls specialist, your PLC specialist, like they know that you know your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like they know. And if you top flight and you got that resume that says, yo, I'm top flight, they know what it is. They know how much you making. You ain't making no pennies no more. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like a little bit of just to let you kind of know where we at with it. So they wanted me to hire this older guy, and he's on his back 9, he's doing his job, but he was actually a line worker before I had brought him in, and I was like, yo, he worked at Raymond or whatever, he used to work on fork trucks, so he kind of knows a little bit about, relay logic and stuff like that. Not to the extent of, I worked on conveyor machines and all of this stuff, but it's kind of similar. If you work on a relay, you kind of know like relay logic a little bit, you know what I'm saying? All the little relays inside the fork trucks and stuff, especially with the Raymond, with the reach trucks and all of these different things. So it's not like you're not knowledgeable of certain things. You know some things. especially him being like closer towards the 80 mark. So he's been around the bush. So my boss, man, he was trying to like get me to like come in as a salary worker. He kept on trying to, yo, D, you need to just come in at the salary. And I was working there for a couple months now, and I was like, oh, why do you keep on asking me to be a salary guy when you know I would never work under you guys as a salary guy? Like, I would have to quit. I can't do it. I was like, you guys wouldn't even give me enough money. Like, you guys don't have enough money to pay me for these extra hours that you want me to work on a regular. Like, I'm barely just here because I just moved out in this area. Like, it's just more or less beneficial this way for me. And possibly I'm probably going to leave you guys because I don't want to be stagnated to just the rate of this caliber. Like, I'm looking, so I was actually looking at the same time, but I wasn't telling them that. So, he'd be like, oh, he gave me the contract. He kept on like throwing it, oh, 65K. I'm like, never in my life would I do that. Like, work for that such of a rate without having it be on the hourly tip and not be able to get some overtime. I was like, I'm not settling for no 65 grand. And he was like, most people, oh, they would love to have that. Like, you're going to tell your wife that you're going to turn down this money? And I'm like, my wife actually knows my capacity. And whenever I say that that's not enough, she actually knows, like, I'm not cat. Like, I make way more than that. But it's not about the money. But 65 grand, you coming at a person that's been making more than 65 grand for some years now. So 65K ain't nothing to a person that makes more than 65 grand a year. I'm not even going, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, da 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 da. So like I said, most of their workers or whatever, their employees, higher ups and stuff like that, he just basically let me know that most of them don't even make like $60,000. And like I said, this plant was towards like, the impoverished area. So it's like, yo, people were making like 50K. Like, a couple people was telling me, like, I don't ever explain how much I make to people because that's none of their business. But at the end of the day, it was more so like, listen. And I was telling people like, yo, you took a contract for 55,000. Like, yeah, that's good money. Da, da, da. But I know, like I said, the area that we in, some of the people were younger and stuff like that. Some of the people actually took it because they got laid off at another job that they used to have, and they know they were making more there. And at this time, I even kind of tell you, I was used to making around like $80,000, give or take at this time, like 85,000. And this was years back, so this was years ago. But and I'm trying to reach to get to my first 100K. You know what I mean? This was over like 10 years plus. But I'm trying to reach to get to my 100K, and you trying to stagnate me to like 65K to take a salary? Like, never in life. But, I'm like, if I'm already up to like 80, I need to only get like 20 more K. Like, just need to make a couple more dollars an hour, and I'm at over 100. You know what I mean? Like, that was my mindset at the time. But I knew I wasn't going to get to that 100K with this job. Like, I knew it was just going to be like, this is a repetitious paycheck. I'm okay. I'm content. Like, I'm not making less than 65,000, especially me being an hourly worker. So that was the whole thing for them to try to get me to perceive like being under salary was a better deal than being an hourly worker. When you, as an hourly worker, like I said, I get my time. And every hour after 40 is time and a half. Or if you guys called me in, that's 4 hours plus off top. So it don't even add up. So the thing about the doubt is this. I had a confrontation with another person, another female that was in another department. She was in the safety department, right? She was like the lead or the manager of safety, and I'm the manager of maintenance. We had an argument or whatever. It was more like jealousy, you know what I'm saying? She was coming at me, But, you know, she wasn't a bad looking person. She actually had, you know, her figure and all of this. And she knew that a lot of dudes would like look at her, eye gawking, trying to holler or whatever. But I actually, you know, I'm married, you know what I mean? I'm my wife, dog, like that's about it. So I wouldn't even like give her the time of day. I wouldn't even give her the eye contact. I wouldn't give her nothing. Now, obviously, I would give eye contact if we needed to talk about a scenario that was going on in the job, but I wasn't giving that, you know, how you give people that energy, like, oh yeah, girl, you looking good, da 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 da. Let me get at you, da da da. None of that, never. And she would try to proceed to try to act like, you know, be flirtatious and stuff, and I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't give no energy towards that because I'm not going to disrespect my wife, you know what I mean, and what I got going on, especially when I know I don't deal like that. If I'm in a relationship, that's what I'm in. I'm in a relationship. Now, if I'm single, that might be a whole different other ball game, you know what I mean? It's all free game when you're single like that, you know what I'm saying? You can all that whoever you want when you're single. But if you're not single, you're married or with another girl, like you in a relationship or something, there's stipulations, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be interacting with people or having them perceive that, you know, that you are available when you're not, you know what I'm saying? So I never brought on that energy to be like, yeah, I'm available when I'm not. So she would get mad, and I knew that it was starting to become like, oh, he think he better than us. Like, no, I'm just married man. I'm just trying to do my job, and I'll leave. And you know, the people, the higher ups or whatever, would be talking about me like, yeah, he fixed the machines. So you know, you got people that's haters and stuff like that. Like, yeah, because you're getting compliments from, you know, other people. Like, oh, he the truth. Da 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 da. He know his stuff. Da da da. So it's not like you saying anything, but you know, they see your work ethic, and your work ethic proves itself. Like, this is why I should be getting paid this. So long story short, between me and her, we had gotten to an argument, and she got mad at me, and she wanted me to act out a character. So she was trying to get me to fight with her. And I was like, I said some stuff to her, but it wasn't like I was going to put hands on her or whatever like that. And I was just like, yo, man, if you don't leave me alone or whatever, like, I and my wife come up here and beat the brakes up off of you. Now, I know I shouldn't have said that at the time, but I wasn't thinking, first off, I wasn't thinking that, oh, this would get me in some serious trouble, because it was just words that I was saying, thinking like it was nothing. And I also wasn't believing that I'm talking as an authoritative person, being that I'm a manager myself. I shouldn't even be giving energy to a scenario like that or saying things like that in that nature, which I knew I was kind of wrong, but it was already said out my mouth. So the day went on, blah, blah, blah. You know, the conversation had ended. I thought it was over, you know what I mean? But she had escalated it. You know, the devil always be trying to use people. She escalated it to having it be like, oh, Dwayne threatened me. like, what? Talk about he gonna have his wife come over here and beat the brakes up off of me. So then I had to put in you know, a thing like, no, she was coming at me. I said this, that, and the third, but I ain't think nothing of it. So a couple days went by, you know, they said it had to be under investigation. While it was under investigation, I was actually still working because, like I said, I ain't had no doubt. I was like, yo, I'm here. But there was this one time I stayed after. It was like the third day in on this scenario between me and her. And it was still like, you know, with the higher ups on if we're going to keep them or if not, right? Or keep her. So they ended up firing both of us. She didn't care because she said she already had another job that she was trying to leave or whatever, right? That's here nor there. But the whole thing before this all transpired about us both getting fired, that's what they told me over the phone after I got fired or whatever. I had went up to the guy, you know, the head, I guess he would be like the plant manager or whatever. The plant manager and me were pretty cool. I was having doubt this day, and I was just like, yo, let me make sure that my job is secure. I'm doing stuff, and it was in my head the whole day, like, yo. And now mind you, I didn't really even want to stay there that long at this job, which was weird. So, but I'm just telling y'all how self-doubt works. I had let doubt creep in my mindset, like, oh, it's a possibility that they might clip me. Like, I'm in that limbo, like, oh, snap, they clip me. I ain't got no backup plan right now because what I got going on, like, even though I want to leave here, I ain't got too many interviews. Like, there's certain things, I wasn't going to take it, and I ain't got the right job that I'm trying to leave right this second. Like, I'm kind of in flux, like in a space that I don't know what's up. I might have to take some unemployment. I don't really want to do that because I got mortgage, all of this other stuff. So I'm letting doubt seep into my head. That's when I knew. It was like a knowing, like when I let this doubt seep into me, that was the day, because I'm talking to the dude and he was like, yeah, D, blah, 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 we talking. And then I was like, yo, you think they're going to try to clip me because of this? I was like, this is a silly situation. Like, I ain't even really mean blah, 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 blah. And I'm trying to explain myself to the guy that always was on me. He was on me trying to get me to sign, to be a salary employee. Like, he was on my top. Like, he was on me. He wanted me to be with them for whatever. And then that day that I let the devil set that down on me, it was like that. It was just that quick. It was like, yo, when that doubt came in on me, it was like he knew he had me. He knew that, oh, this is it. This is when I'm going to try to get him. So that's when later on that day, I left. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. I think his name was Steve. Like, hey, don't worry about it, D. We'll talk to you. Just basically it was about to be the weekend. It was like the last day or whatever. And he was like, yo, we'll talk to you, Don't worry about it. So I'm like, all right, whatever, So when I get home, the doubt was still on me or whatever. And I was just like, it feels, like you have this feeling about like, yo, I think something bad's about to happen. And that's that doubt and stuff, And I never really let doubt settle in. It's like, yo, if a job wanted to clip me, I'll be like, whatever. But I never really got clipped because it never been in the circumstance that that I really cared. Like, if I was to get clipped, like, I already had something already planned up, or I'm more or less the one that's usually quitting and going to the next job and putting in my 2-week notice. But this was the only time. And it wasn't even a job like I said, I didn't want to be there. I was not trying to stay there for a long period of time because there wasn't a rate that I wanted. But that day, it was like God was giving me a lesson to learn. Don't ever think like this ever again. And it just stuck. Had my heart sunk that day and everything. And it was doubt. I got fired, and I believe wholeheartedly that day I got fired. When I got home, they gave me a call like, oh, yeah. Around like 6 o'clock, I got home. They gave me a call that day, the same day that I was doubting. You're fired. We have to release you of your duties, and we also released this other girl of her duties. But it was because of that doubt. I know 100% it was spiritual. That doubt that was set on me gave the authority to put me in that position that I was put in. Not saying like I said something that shouldn't have probably been said. But if I didn't have that doubt, I truly believe I wouldn't have lost my job that day. But because I had that doubt, I wholeheartedly believe I lost my job. And I never doubted a day after that in my whole life. And this was over 10 years ago. And I was talking to my wife about that scenario, and it just reminds me of what doubt can do. And it's real spiritual. It's more spiritual than you would ever believe in your whole entire life. That's why you always got to be in the upright. That's why you always got to believe in the good scenario. That's why you always got to be like, yo, God, you know what I mean? I'm trusting in you. If you got some type of doubt, give it to God. God, I don't want to have this. And don't let it settle in. I don't want to have this. Take it away from me, Lord. You know, I'm giving my trust, my full trust, my whole heart to you in this scenario, this situation, what's going on, what's transpiring. He already knows. But you can't let that doubt settle in and overtake and consume you, because that's when you're giving authority to the devil to do his due diligence and his deeds that he would love to get you all in fear and lack and all these different things. Mind you, after that job, I got involved in one of the best jobs of my life at that time. I was making over the money that I was making before, well over. And I was very appreciative of that job. And I also learned a lot more after that as well. But that was just God testing me and giving me a lesson on to why not ever doubt. Because like I said, I never really did have doubt but that one time in my life. And it was weird. It was the weirdest experience in my whole life. And I just kind of want to put that out there to let y'all know, don't doubt. If you're unsure, be unsure. Let God clarify the thing, you know, give you the clearance that you need, you know, the advice that you need, the assurance that you need. Just don't take it and let fear, doubt, and stagnation settle in on you. Because then that's when the devil operates at his best. Thank you. This is Church from Church's Intake. God bless.